Kyle, unfortunately it's a bit like deja vu doing these interviews. Similar scoreline to last week, but you don't feel quite as happy is probably the wrong word to use, but quite as thankful and optimistic as you did last week.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate, you're 100% right. We'll have to be careful what language I use in this and with how I'm feeling at the minute, especially with the occasion it was for someone like Jimmy. We built the week up around it and it just looked flat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think either team were a barrel of energy and anything like that, but physically we just saw us losing too many rucks, same old, and then too many one-on-one errors like missed tackles and people coming out of system, and it just shows the naivety and immaturity sometimes in terms of either exposure and or just the people playing out of position, which obviously is what it is. I mean, it's not ideal, but you need to be able to do these things. And ultimately it's just biting us on bum too many times, especially with some of them easy tries, like I said, and just really dumb penalties again, like just lift like lazy arms and body positioning. Because we're putting ourselves under pressure, then we start falling out of system. 5 minutes when we're in like either side of half time, we actually started all right considering what we normally do, and we've got a bit of energy, a little bit of shape around us, and we challenge and we show like actually it is a 50-50 game. By no means are we where results that end at games blow out to, but because of how they blow out in them certain patches, we're rightly where we're supposed to be at this moment in time. Obviously that's not acceptable. We say the same thing every week, and we're definitely not training for these outcomes. We're just not. There's not a shadow of doubt in my mind that we're not trying to be efficient and change the level of accountability, the level of intensity in and around training. And look, we try and challenge them. We're demanding quite a lot, but we are trying to be player led, and we just don't have the leadership yet. And it shows on field when we just lose his way, something goes against us, we decide to go off topic and try and kick it short. We don't particularly go for kill, we just float a ball up in the air and go up and try and slap it about. But in doing that, give them an opportunity to do the same. And they're not the transition periods that we've been speaking about, you know, they're not the let's transition really well, let's have some control. They are the areas what are biting us on bum. Like I said, we don't get the ricochets, we don't get the bounce backs. I think in the last 2 weeks we maybe tried 6 and we've had 2. It's not a great turnover rate. And then when you put yourself under pressure when you don't need to is the biggest thing. Look, if you're 6-8 points behind with a bits to go and you're generally going for the throat, as per se, and you go in to get these balls and come up with some plays, you sort of go, well, they're all nice because when you're in the game but there's 30-40 minutes left and you concede your first try and then decide to mess about, I don't get it. Not within the ways we're doing it. Like we're plain to see. Look, we had some effort in areas and then we had some laziness in areas, and we just feel position wise we were kicking, they were catching on their 30 and going on the 40 player one. So why, when they go and score, you'd kick it on their 30 or 40 is beyond me. We spoke about trying to build a bit of pressure against other teams, backing the fact that, look, we're willing to do stuff the hard way to start with. Obviously our attack is a little bit different, or trying to be. We don't have the continuity in that at the minute. Obviously personnel changes, people out of position and whatever contribute to that. But we just don't give ourselves a chance, mate, with these dumb penalties, giving them field position, and then when they do get down there, it's far too easy to score. It's gut-wrenching at times, some of the one-on-ones that we're just missing, and it's, look, there's no other way around it than going, well, we're challenging you to do this. We're speaking about bodies, we're trying to be mindful and as astute as we can be in terms of physically where bodies are at this time of year, but it's shown that you can't avoid it because we can't do it. Consistently we cannot do it, and that's something I've just challenged team with. You can come to training, you can moan we're training, oppose, we can moan we're doing this, that and over, but the fact is we're not doing it for long, we do it until we get the outcome we need out of it, and then we're done with it. But it's not going through, it's not flowing at the moment, and that's what now was meant to be an attribute for. Meant to be adding to the fact that in pre-season the core that are here carry that message and that culture through, and there's a culture that needs to be built here, and it's plain to see. As I said, we've got some very whiny, blamey people at the minute, and that can be through habit. I'm not trying to say that's them personally, but that's where we're at and that's what we're trying to break.
Towards the middle of the second half, it did seem as though discipline was going back to maybe what it was like at the beginning of the year, where whether it's born out of frustration, which some of it you can maybe understand, but again we just seem to We got Matty Fletcher got sent off. We then got Simbin in for persistent offending, and it's something that we've not seen over the past sort of 6-7 weeks or so. But we did early doors, and it just seems to have crept back in a little bit.
Yeah, that goes to the opposites of this week to last week. Like you said, we had a bit of venom about us. We moved really well. We made the same sort of errors we've been making, but they weren't compounded with stepping over the line, being sin-bins, being red cards, and costing us as much. It's definitely out of frustration. And again, how you frame that is something we're looking to mentally to work with these players moving forward, and get the sort of conscious present. How do we get it going where you understand what you're about to do, and also the repercussions of what you're about to do, and how it affects the bloke at side here or your family in stands or whatever it looks like. Look, no, I'm not saying no one goes out of the way, and I won't particularly say we've got a dirty team. We've just got a very loose set of standards at the minute, and as you said, it goes with stray arms, being offside, like for want of a better term, the soft penalties, like they're just let-offs that you're not really going somewhere and you're not really testing water in terms of, it's not because you're sprinting on a kick chase and you're just inside 10, it's not because you've gone 100 mile an hour and you've just got it wrong, you know, your footwork's slightly wrong, you've just caught someone, like they're just a bit loose, tired and jumpy, all technical things that, look, we can throw into training. We've got a certain amount of training with them, like I'm challenging boys to do. We tried a different thing this week, obviously with Jimmy, and we haven't really touched on that bit too much, but that's what this week's been meant to about the club and him. They're a massive part of each other's lives, and we wanted a better performance for him. That's what the ultimate frustration is right now. Again, as last week, saved a couple of tries. This week he's flying into the middle and again saving a couple of tries and sweeping up, and same couple of people are on them players doing them things. But problem is it takes more than two people in a 13-man sport to consistently turn up and even give yourself a chance to win games, let alone get the actual outcome. So yeah, mate, it's just something, like you said, it's definitely born out of frustration, but the only people we can be frustrated with is ourselves at the minute. There might have been one or two things where you go, that pat back, you were offside, yeah, fair enough, but why is it dictating anything to us? We still conceded too many tries before and after that point. It's irrelevant when you look at it like that. And again, it boils into the feeding of the blame culture that we've got at the minute. It's not us, it's always someone else, it's always a train, it's always the weather, it's always someone else, and it's not everybody, and it's not the overriding feeling, so I don't want to push it across as it is, that's the main, but it is the main issue, 1,000,000%. Yeah. The main issue is mentally we just aren't prepared to give ourselves the time or the effort to get there. We think we've hit it in 1 week, it's like, oh, we've cracked it now, and then this week you might prepare slightly differently, and it just proves when we've been going like this all the time how effective it actually is. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't be coaching if one of my old coaches hadn't come and brought that side to my game. I just couldn't. That was one of my biggest flaws as a player, consistency and stuff like that, emotional and obviously physical, and it's going to be a main area that we're trying to attack now, where we have been. And like I said, you have seen, I'm not going to lie and say you haven't seen any areas of improvement, but it's not enough to pat ourselves on the back. Like, there's areas where you go, well, we haven't even been competing at times with teams and we just rolled over, and we didn't see that, but today did feel a little bit more like that than the last few weeks have. And like I said, it's yeah, I don't know what else to say, mate. It's one of them things where we're definitely not training to them things. If anybody, players included and myself, want to try and say that it's not us, it's someone else, it's not, it's all on us. We're doing it at training, we're trying to do these things, we're putting in extra things, we're taking out some things, we're constantly moving around and mapping to try and work as a group, staff and players united, and just quite on edge yet. And ultimately, obviously, it's coming 7 games ago, and you need an off season, and you need the people that believe in that as well. Some of them do, some of them are questioning it, I think, still, and obviously that's not to say that it means they're in the party, like they can step into that. Some people have to grow into it, and we understand it, but that's my point of that comment is, look, we're going to have to try and consciously keep building into that, keep feeding that culture and trying to cultivate it a little bit. And it's frustrating because it takes a while, but it is the longest thing to build. As you see, everyone never sees that bit when they just see, or in future you might just go, oh, well, remember that last year we had that good had that right good season last year, and really we just did better in playoffs. Our form into playoffs were pretty poor, and then we bred a little bit of culture. But again, rightly or wrongly, there's some opinions on that aren't necessarily true, but it's believed upon it between certain people that it were for one reason or another that it won, and some people are taking too much credit and some people are giving enough credit out for why it got like that, and that's part and parcel. That's being a team. The message on the board today were team first, and maybe 5 or 6 of them were team first today, and 11 of them were probably, 11 of them was pretty harsh, but 5 or 6 were probably about myself, and then 4 or 5 of them were probably like, I'm a bit nervous because they're new to it, however, which is, like I said, it's understandable. You've got to get that exposure, but just frustrating because you just want to, like, we've seen you do it, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Just grab it and just run with it. But yeah, that's where we're at, mate.
Yeah.